Hello, Pacific League fans and fans to be. I'm Gabe Lerman, one third of the English YouTube crew, and once again we are calling out to Pacific League diehards to try and persuade you to cheer for their club. This is Making the Pitch for 2024. My guest today has a bit of a bifurcated history when it comes to Japanese baseball. A Canadian expat who got his start with the other league's team in his neck of the woods. He started up a Twitter account to follow the Pacific League team once they started getting good. They have rewarded him immensely over the last 3 seasons. Trevor joining me today to talk about the Orix Buffaloes.
Yep.
Trevor, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today.
Hey, it's my pleasure, Gabe. Thanks for having me on the show. I love the work that you're doing, and I'm just glad to be able to be a part of it.
So, what did you think of last season? And I can imagine, based on your dual loyalties, you're a little bit conflicted.
My Pacific League team, three-peating was a real treat. I mean, it doesn't happen that often. Like, if you think about it, even the Hawks didn't three-peat as far as being Pacific League regular season champs, right? Because they were split up
Right.
with the Cebu Lions.
And the Fighters back in 2016.
Yeah, exactly. So three straight is an amazing accomplishment. And then, in 2022, they barely won the title because they tied with the Hawks, correct? That kind of loophole that they found or whatever is kind of a technicality that got them the title. But last year they had an amazing regular season. I mean, they left very little doubt as to who the champs, who the elite team was in the PL. I was really happy about that, especially having, them having come off the Japan Series victory in 2022 to see them come back the very next year, even stronger than they were in 2022 was amazing. Obviously, the Japan Series kind of stung. I personally think that the Buffaloes fan in me was thinking, well, if we can beat the crosstown rivals, that has a lot more weight to it and will get us more fans and more respect, maybe more media attention than, simply beating the Swallows. No offense to the Swallows, but if you can beat the team that is the talk of the town here in the Kansai area, it's going to get a lot more attention than the other two did. And unfortunately, it didn't come to fruition. The other one is that, considering they lost Masataka Yoshida, I think they played extremely well last year.
Tomoya Mori filled that role perfectly in terms of offensive output.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you couldn't really ask for more. And I think they're kind of similar in their, I don't know how to put it. Like in their makeup in a sense, like they're both like just geniuses when it comes to how they wield the bat, but their defense maybe is not quite up to par. And I think that was maybe one of the missing ingredients with Mori, not to pick on him, but the fact that he couldn't take full-time catching duties because Wakatsuki is such a great catcher and Mori was not an awesome catcher. And then as we saw in the Japan series, he even had to be pushed into right field just to get him some playing time at Koshien.
Getting back to the whole beating the crosstown rival, I've said this on the podcast a few times. Mark my words, by the end of the decade, Osaka will be a Buffalo's town, especially if they keep up this work.
I can't see that not happening. I mean, honestly, you have to give props, as I said, to a team that wins three straight, which is something that not even the evil empire of the Hawks could do. Something's got to give at some point. People will
Mhm.
come to their senses.
What was your favorite moment from last year?
I've kind of got three, if you don't mind.
Go for it, all
Um,
three.
and none of them are actually playoff moments. So we'll do this kind of in chronological order, if you will. The first one would be on March the 31st, when the aforementioned Tomoya Mori, was facing his old team, the Saitama Seibu Lions, and with 2 outs in the top of the ninth, he crushed a game-tying home run. So I just really thought that was kind of what do you call it? Like kind of sticking it to them, really, But it was just great to see that he was on this team and he was going to contribute in big ways, and he continued to do so much of the season. So there were some other really clutch moments with him, but I think that one was the real kind of opening statement for him.
And given how the Buffaloes have been accused of being non-clutch before they started winning pennants, that is a call to arms saying, no, we're better now. We're different.
Yeah, I mean, it's peeling off the old label and putting the new one on, and it's one that certainly is going to scare other teams to say, "Hey, we can't take our foot off the gas, and we've got to be careful, even if we're taking leads into the ninth, because that is one scary lineup on the other side." And they've really become that, thanks in large part to the addition of Maury. And obviously, this season we'll maybe talk about this soon. But the new acquisition again of Ryoma Nishikawa as well is going to really beef up that lineup, and they're going to be scary top to bottom.
Hmm.
So let's move on to my second one. And as a Tigers fan, as you alluded to, and I'll just straight up say it, I think that another great moment for the Buffaloes was June the 15th when they were playing at Koshien. And once again, let's take it down to the ninth inning and being down by a run. Similar situation, similar results, but it was not Mori this time. It was Tongu and Sugimoto that each hit a solo home run against closer Yuasa. And that gave the Buffaloes that game and also that series. And that was just beyond exciting to be able to see the team kind of pull that one out from nowhere and turn it into a victory. And it really, to me, it was the first kind of preview of what we were about to see in the Japan series. Not that we ever saw back-to-back homers like that, but we definitely saw this series that went back and forth, and that, despite the games being at Koshien, they definitely, the Tigers won two out of those three, but our Buffaloes really played quite well in all three games and actually had the lead in all three games.
Little
Um,
brother, no more. Yeah.
yeah. So that was great. And then, of course, the last one, how can we possibly ignore Yoshinobu Yamamoto's no-no? I think it was September the 9th against the Marines, right?
That sounds
Um,
about right. As
yeah,
revenge for Roki Sasaki throwing 19 Ks in a perfecto the year prior.
right. Yeah, exactly. And this would be the second straight year that Yamamoto pitched a no-no, which I think hadn't been done in like 70 years or something crazy like that. Anyways, it was just like a ridiculous number. But when he did it this time, I kind of felt like there was a little bit less excitement, even though it was equally important and equally amazing. I think maybe because it was like, yeah, you did it last year, do it this year, and if you stick around, you'll do it again next year, type of thing. Like it's kind of becoming routine with Yoshinobu.
Three straight MVPs, three straight Sawamudas, three straight pitching triple crowns. There literally was nothing left for Yoshinobu Yamamoto to do in Japan. So I don't
Exactly.
begrudge him heading over to North America. I just wish it wasn't the Dodgers.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and he hit that magic number of 25 as well, right? Where he was able to open up the team's coffers and take as much of the money as he had due him.
Hmm. I will say the posting fee for the Buffaloes. I joked about this on the last podcast, but I should repeat. The Buffaloes should sign Blake Snell.
Jeez, they can afford it. They can afford him for sure.
Exactly. Throw $20
Yeah.
million at him. Why not?
Yeah.
Who would be your favorite player on the roster right now? I know we've talked about Mori and Tongu and Sugimoto. Who really stands out head and shoulders?
Yeah, nobody. And I say that simply because I think I'm the type of fan, and this is true of all of the teams that I follow, including my hometown Winnipeg Jets. I tend to follow the whole team, and I love multiple individuals, so it's really hard for me to narrow it down to one. But I would say, as far as position players, the aforementioned Mori, of course, but then Mune, that's Yuma Mune, the third baseman, and also
Mune's
I
my
like
guy.
Kotaro
Yeah.
Kurobayashi as well. They're my big three. As far as pitchers go, the trifecta of Yamas I really like, right? Yamashita, Yamaoka, and Yamazaki, the last being reliever. And then I've got a soft spot, of course, for Hiroya Miyagi because he hails from Okinawa, and I spent 12 years there. So I always tend to cheer for the Okinawa natives. So I think he might be one of my faves. And then for me also, I just automatically cheer for foreign players. It's just what I do. I want to root for them. I want them to have success here in Japan because maybe because so few do, but also because I'm a foreigner that, well, I like to think I'm having success here in Japan. So I want to see more foreigners do the same. So yeah, I've got like 10 players maybe I'm rooting for.
I gotta say, yeah, yeah, in terms of breakout options, Leandro Cedeno showed some promise last season. I'm eager to see what he's capable of this year.
Yeah, I think given a full season of, first of all, being double digits and then also being on the top squad is going to do wonders for him. And I think, yeah, he could have a really big season. Could be something similar to maybe what Polanco did with the Marines last year, where he leads the league in home runs.
Who should North American fans watch for in 2024? Who do you think is going to have a breakout season?
I think that another guy that is going to at some point be our big beefy slugger is Naito, who is our second round pick. Oh, was it 2 years ago or 3 years ago? Um, he's had the injury bug a little bit, but he is looking like he could be almost like an Okawari-kun as far as his makeup. Like Yeah. So I'm excited for that. And then last year's first round pick, Yokoyama, I think he's a shortstop. He's going to be the stud of the future as well. But I would assume that, by then, I don't know what they're going to do with Kurebayashi, who's still quite young as well. But
Move him to second.
possibly, yeah. I mean, that would be a crazy good middle of the infield right there.
Yeah, like
And then
that's
as far as
Tonosaki
pitchers go,
Genda quality middle of the infield.
yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. But maybe with more pop. Yeah, I mean, that's probably the golden standard as far as certainly defense, but definitely the Buffaloes have the potential to be the new mark for excellence, I guess, maybe in like 3 years' time or so.
So I alluded to it at the start of the episode, but for the record, sir, how did you become a fan of the Buffaloes?
You were mostly right or partly right. You'd said that once the Buffaloes started to succeed or start to do really well, I became a fan. And that's kind of coincidental in a way because it actually started in April of 2022 when my first team were terrible. They started the season 0-9, and then they were at 115-1, which is the worst winning percentage at any stage of a season, which is not a zero. And then 420-1. So by the end of April, I think they were 16 games below 500. And I realized that, people were not tuning in because nobody wants to listen to somebody rant on about losers. So I was like, well, I need to get this energy out somehow. I need to turn my passion somewhere that, is going to give me some return on the investment that I put in. So they're still close to home. They're easier to follow than other teams. I think there's still even some relation between the two teams. That's kind of undeniable. You look at free agents like Yuki Nishi and Yoshio Itoi, who moved west across the Yodogawa River. And then you also look at guys like Nomi, who went east, and then Okada, who's kind of played a part in all three teams, right? He was the Orix Blue Wave pinch hitter for a while, and then he was the Orix Buffaloes manager for a while as well. So we've got these close ties. And so it was kind of a natural transition to the Buffaloes. And so since that time, though, the Tigers kind of righted the ship in the second half of 2022. And so I kind of crawled back to them. But I decided I was going to keep this mistress on the side. And so I'm still with the Buffaloes as well.
All right, now the most important part of each episode. You have to make your case for why fans should cheer for the Oryx Buffaloes. Trevor, it's time to make your pitch.
Well, I'll start you off by saying we are the three-time defending champs of the PL. We won the Japan Series in 2022. And this is a team that came out of nowhere to do that, having finished in last place in 2020. So we've got what it takes as far as developing talent goes. And we proved that the 2021 pennant was not a fluke by doing it again and again. This team has developed world-class talent that you have heard of for sure. Names such as Hideo Nomo, Ichiro Suzuki, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Masataka Yoshida, and more on the horizon. If you keep following this team, trust me, there will be more of these guys making their ways over to Major League Baseball. If you like teams that are underappreciated by the locals, this is your team, right? They're kind of ignored. They've kind of been jilted because their crosstown rivals are
They suck up all the oxygen in the room, basically.
Yeah, yeah. Well phrased. But I really think that the Buffaloes have got a great fan culture as well. I mean, attending their games, the fans are very supportive of the players on the field. When pitchers bring it up to a 3-ball count, the Orix fans tend to give him a round of applause to kind of encourage him on and say, "We're still with you. We're still with you." Other reasons, of course, following the PL teams is easier than following the CL teams from overseas. And I would say Osaka is a great town. They're the only team in town as far as PL goes. So if you've chosen the PL because of Pacific League TV, which I think is the most logical choice for people overseas, and if you want to choose a town that you can really get behind, not only the team, but the whole city, I think Osaka is the place to go with that. It's an awesome, just very bustling town, a lot of great energy, very humorous. It's kind of the central, it's the capital of comedy here in Japan. And
Capital of
here's another one
cuisine,
that I
too.
think would kind of push people in this direction, if I may. I think Orix is one of the most underappreciated and least followed teams domestically, but I think it would be a great story if somehow they had the greatest following overseas of any NPB team. And I think that you all could make this happen. And I think it's a natural choice for y'all to do it. So do it. Follow the Orix Buffaloes. That's my pitch.
That is an excellent pitch. I will also add on, they have the best theme song in all of the Pacific League. Trevor, thank you so much for taking the time with me today. Really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure, Gabe. Anytime you want to have me back on, just let me know and I will be here.
Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all that YouTube-y stuff, and be sure to catch the Buffaloes in our upcoming midnight matinee live streams. Check the community post for times and dates.